Can I say, or will this be a good argument that if you have to assign yourself a purpose in life, anyone can assign a wrong purpose for himself that could be detrimental to the other people of the society? So for instance, if someone says that, my purpose, I'm very sadistic and my purpose of life should be killing as many people as I want, right? So this is going to be detrimental for the entire society. Do you believe with this?
I don't know what I'm doing here. Who am I? If there's no God and everything is an accident and I'm an accident, and therefore my life doesn't mean anything. And therefore, why don't, I do what some of these existential philosophers did, commit suicide. No God, no objective morality, it's all subjective. Considering that framework and considering the fact that now you are in charge, you're in the driving seat, you're playing God. Someone with the right or wrong mindset can easily run away with this, and we do see examples of this every now and then. Some crazy man that's made it a life goal to go kill some children in some school, and they think what they're doing is good.
So Allah wants ease for us. Allah doesn't want difficulty and hardship. So that's why someone might say, but what? It's hard. It's difficult waking up for Fajr in the morning.
Right.
But that conditioning yourself to deal with that difficulty leads to ease.
Yeah.
We need to get this in people's heads as well.
Like they say, the pain of discipline is better than the pain of regret. So recently, Coffee Beans एक cafe है, वहाँ पे एक औरत बैठी थी. All of a sudden, she appeared to be in her 30s. और all of a sudden, while she was sitting alone over there, उसने decide किया कि बाहर उसने खिड़की देखी और उसे एकदम छलांग मार दी. And they leaked the CCTV. And she was taken to National Hospital. But I don't know whether she survived or not. But amongst the reasons जो हो सकती हैं, could nihilism be one of them? This is a question that I would like to throw to both of you, starting from Brother Imran.
So could nihilism be one of them?
Yeah.
Possibly.
जो सुसाइड हमारी सोसाइटी में हो रही है आजकल, इन पर्टिकुलर पाकिस्तान में जिस तरह बहुत ज़्यादा हो गई है, is nihilism one of them?
Acha. So first thing I think is important to clarify that people can commit suicide for many reasons. It could be mental health issues, other problems in life, because sometimes suffering is another big thing, problem for modern society. आजकल के लोगों के लिए just contextualizing suffering बहुत मुश्किल है कि इसको कैसे समझे. So that's one thing. The second thing, nihilism definitely can be a cause. क्योंकि nihilism क्या करता है, जिंदगी का जो मकसद है वो छीन लेता है आपसे. And that is a very big problem.
Do you want to give a definition of nihilism?
Well? Yeah, so
before we carry on.
So for the general audience, there are some concepts जो वैसे आ तो जाते हैं, लेकिन उसके consequences हमें नज़र आ रहे होते हैं. But we don't know the root word or what the phenomena is. So what is this phenomenon of nihilism?
So the simple तरीके में अगर मैं बताऊँ ना, it's meaninglessness. So not having meaning. Nihilism अगर philosophically study करेंगे उसके काफ़ी categories हैं. Moral nihilism है, existential nihilism है, etc. लेकिन जो general theme है ना, वो है कि that it's the lack of meaning.
Yeah.
And that we see prevalent in today's society. And one of the fundamental reasons is because people have turned away from God. And we could probably discuss this, but I don't want to go on too much right now, inshallah. But that's one of the main things. Is turning away from God removes meaning from a person's life.
What are your 2 cents, Dr. Salman?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I echo the same disclaimer. We shouldn't comment on a specific case, but meaninglessness is a good way to describe it. I think.
Okay, so if we have
if not just like if there's no meaning attached to life, human beings, relationships, then anything can just be described as just it's just matter. It's just matter doesn't matter. It's just molecules. It's changing from one state to another. Everyone and everything is going from, a state of, low entropy to high entropy, and the universe is just heading slowly towards death and stillness and nothingness. But I don't think anyone from the perspective, I think this is a learned and acquired way to look at things, because even naturally, even somebody claims to be an atheist, naturally they're not going to describe somebody killing someone as the same as just moving something from here to here, just or cutting an apple in half. They automatically, from their fitrah, they will ascribe some significance, right?
Yeah.
To human beings, to certain things. But as Hamza and mashallah, the brothers at Sapience and Ayira, they've always said is, if you actually probe them philosophically, you get to a like a dead end where they have to, when their back's against the wall, they have to admit that if they remove God from the equation, then killing someone is the same as, Hamza says, picking your nose at the dinner table.
Yeah.
It's kind of acquired tastes and norms and so forth. And that's, we want to be careful not to push people to that point as well, by highlighting that this is a logical consequence, slippery slope. You don't want to push people away to become more and more nihilistic. There has to be some kind of, come to a common ground. You naturally agree that there's some inherent, that there's some inherent value in life, for example, and maybe come to a common agreement and then build something on top of that.
Right. So if in particularly I see a Pakistani society, because mashallah, I'm very proud. Both of you are Pakistanis, right? Originally. Okay. So this is very important. Living in the West and seeing the Western society and the kind of generation that you see right now, और जो nihilism के वहाँ पे concepts हैं, and predominantly in the Pakistani society, because you have been visiting universities, lectures, and you interact with people on social media, stuff like that. What is the most prevalent कि कौन सा nihilism or which form of nihilism is most prevailing in our society in context to Pakistan? Because as you rightly mentioned about moral nihilism, which actually means, just correct me if I'm wrong, that morality has no purpose, or there are no moral values, और पर existential nihilism कि मेरी जिंदगी का तो कोई meaning ही नहीं है. And then I would also like to say कि a lot of the youngsters out there वो ये कहते हैं कि we have to assign ourselves a purpose of life. Why are you even looking for a purpose of life?
Yeah.
Why do you even say that we need a purpose of life? Why can't we just assign ourselves the purpose of life?
Yeah.
So how would you address these two things? So the first part of the question was the difference you are seeing in the West and in Pakistan.
Okay. So just before that, I think it's important to add that meaning is central to human existence, because without meaning, everything falls apart. So whatever we do, from waking up in the morning, सुबह उठते हैं, नाश्ता करते हैं, उसका मकसद होता है. काम पे जाते हैं, उसका मकसद होता है. घर आते हैं, उसका मकसद होता है. सोते हैं, उसका मकसद होता है. जब साइंस करते हैं, उसके चीज़ों के पीछे हम मीनिंग ढूंढते हैं. इसका मीनिंग क्या है, ये ऐसे क्यों है. तो हमारा फिल्टर है एज ह्यूमन बीइंग्स, वी सी थिंग्स थ्रू द लेंस ऑफ मीनिंग. सो जहाँ तक हमारी बात आती है कि व्हाट्स माय पर्पस, मेरा मकसद क्या है, ये भी एक सेंट्रल क्वेश्चन है. अगर इसका जवाब नहीं होगा तो यू आर इन ट्रबल, राइट. ना कुछ लोग हैं, दे कैन, जैसे कहते हैं ना, ब्रश अंडर द कार्पेट. साइकोलॉजिकली वो थोड़े कर सकते हैं ऐसे, एंड दे गेट ऑन विद देयर लाइफ. कुछ दूसरी पर्सनालिटी टाइप्स होती हैं जो ये नहीं कर सकते, एंड दैट बिकम्स अ प्रेसिंग थिंग ऑन देयर माइंड, एंड देन लीड्स टू जो फिलोसोफर कहते हैं एक्जिस्टेंशियल एंग्स्ट, एक एंग्जाइटी और डिप्रेशन जो एग्जिस्टेंशियल होता है. तो ये मैंने पहले कवर करना. जहाँ तक आपका क्वेश्चन है ना कि यूके वेस्टर्न नाइलिज्म और पाकिस्तानी नाइलिज्म में डिफरेंस, वेस्टर्न नाइलिज्म काफ़ी सिंपल है. इट्स अक्रॉस द बोर्ड, हर लिहाज से, वेदर इट्स मोरालिटी और इट्स मीनिंग, they are struggling. Those that think about these things, at least, if you look at the category that brushes under the carpet, they find ways of getting around and getting on with life. Lekin because they denied God, especially after the Enlightenment, the Renaissance, and then the Enlightenment, this whole movement away from spirituality and God, and a movement towards materialism and secularism, by turning away from Allah or God, if you want to say in English, they can't now ground these things in any objective way.
ठीक है.
जैसे आपने कहा था कि वो फिर कहते हैं, जो पाकिस्तानी यूथ कह रहे हैं आजकल, के मकसद तो मैंने खुद बनाना है अपना, मैंने खुद ढूंढना है. तो दैट्स द पोजीशन यू लेफ्ट विद. एग्जिस्टेंशलिस्ट फिलोसफर्स देखेंगे, नीचे ले लें, कैमू ले लें, जॉन पॉल सार्ट ले लें, सब फंडामेंटली एक ही चीज़ कह रहे थे कि अपना मकसद खुद ढूंढो, अपना मकसद खुद बनाओ. Pakistani youth मैंने notice किया, they're quite well read.
Right.
So I can see the influence trickling in from there.
Okay.
You know, those philosophies and ideologies. But that's problematic as well. क्योंकि आप कह सकते हैं हाँ मैंने मकसद अपना खुद ढूंढना है जिंदगी का, लेकिन वो अब एक बनावटी चीज़ है. You're making it up. ठीक है? It's like, you know, kids play dress up. You know, dressing up like doctor, dressing up policeman. Beloved brother, Dr. Butt was playing, maybe shouldn't get into that, but he's enacting a specific role, you know, and he's really in the role itself, mashallah. He's showing us videos on the way. I don't know if you want to mention it. I'll leave it to him.
You have to now.
You can give context if you want.
Somebody's watching, they're going to think it's much worse than it actually
I think Hamza shared a tweet already with you.
I was just playing with some guns in the US. Okay. It's completely normal.
And he was having
there.
fun, mashallah.
So, you know.
A lot of
it was
fun.
Texas.
Yeah, mashallah.
Videos coming soon.
But the point was that people, it's like making things up.
Right.
So saying, you know, my purpose is to be a doctor and an engineer, you're making it up. You weren't born with a little, you know, cheat sheet in your pocket or a little manual that told you that. So you're making it up. That's what you're doing. And the issue with that is, you know you're making it up. In other words, you know you're lying to yourself.
Right.
Okay? And at some point, you're going to realize that. You know, and normally, what are the type of purpose people give themselves? Good things. Yeah?
So maybe someone would say, yeah, good things. Someone would say that, you know, my purpose of life is to be a chief executive of a multinational company.
ऐसी कोई चीज़, or doctor, engineer, charity work.
Yeah.
It's not actually a bad thing though. I mean, it's like having a vision, right? You should still have a vision in life, but the problem comes when that's all there is.
Exactly. It's not linked
nothing,
to your fundamental purpose.
Yeah.
Which is to worship Allah. And all these amazing things should be linked to that fundamental purpose, to worship Allah.
No, so what are some of the things or the drawbacks? You know, I'm going to push this talk a little forward. If someone says that, you know, my primary purpose is to become a best entrepreneur, okay, or my purpose of life is to be better than Elon Musk in terms of the innovation. What are the downsides if he fails to meet that purpose? What is going to be the repercussion of that for that individual?
Dr. Bhatt, you want to chime in?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I think if we had a society filled with people that had high ambitions and aspirations, that would be a good thing. But what we're seeing instead is generations of young people just without any purpose, any motivation. Because I mean, this is their motivation just becomes, which link, you can philosophize it further and say, you know, it's just to maximize pleasure and minimize pain. And then you have kind of, in today's society, you know, you get hungry, you can order an Uber Eats.
Yeah.
You desire something, you can Amazon Prime next day or same day delivery. All manner of desires can be fulfilled, you know, at the tap of a button.
Yeah.
And you just have generations of people with no motivation to do anything with their lives, right? And I think the issue with, I would say, from my perspective, Pakistani kind of flavors of nihilism, I wouldn't even go so much as looking at the philosophy and reasoning, or looking at the philosophical angle, because I believe one of our authors at Islam 21C, he wrote a very good article. He called it, there's two parts. He coined a term called Farangism. And he says these types of things, like atheism spreading and so forth, they're not theological or philosophical issues, they're civilizational issues. What we're actually seeing is a parody of certain elements of Western culture. We're seeing an imitation. We're not seeing, and we, if you're, you know, the whole thing of, if you're a hammer, all you see is nails. If you're an expert in, you know, nihilism from a philosophical angle, you're going to look at some behavior and say, that's textbook nihilism. But it doesn't mean that person is coming at it from that perspective. That person is just imitating whom he or she sees as a successful, superior master race. That's why I think it's a civilizational issue. It's just a parody, a cheap imitation of what they perceive from soft power, from you know, the projection via NGOs and Hollywood and all types of kind of brainwashing techniques, the pushing of secular modernity as, you know, the pinnacle of human progress and enlightenment and evolution, and, you know, this is what the end of history looks like. This is what the prime human being looks like. We went from a single cell organism to the 21st century American male. That kind of that image in people's minds. So they imitate. They feel weak, they feel inferior, and they want to imitate. So how do they imitate? I want to be like those people on TV. And culture is a huge part of that. They've seen very important book, good book by Sue Palmer called Toxic Childhood.
Right.
She did research where she just watched 2 weeks of Nickelodeon, children's TV from a kind of American production company and stuff, American channels. She identified certain themes, recurring themes, right? Like the parents are always like the villain or the protagonist, no, the antagonist. Not sure the protagonist, the hero, the child wants to get his way or her way, and the parents are getting in the way. These types of themes and motifs and kind of repeated things. So this has an impact on shaping, a nation, shaping those people who grew up watching Nickelodeon, on those people who grew up watching Friends or whatever kind of, or now maybe TikTok has changed the thing.
Imran, can I say, or will this be a good argument that if you have to assign yourself a purpose in life, anyone can assign a wrong purpose for himself that could be detrimental to the other people of the society? So for instance, if someone says that, my purpose, I'm very sadistic and my purpose of life should be killing as many people as I want, right? So this is going to be detrimental for the entire society, and right? So do you believe with this this argument that if someone has to assign himself his own purpose, and then he can go in any direction, regardless of what the utilitarian society is in need of?
Yeah, that can happen because you're pretty much free to do whatever you want.
Yes.
Right. So you can assign your own purpose. This is what people are encouraged to do.
Yeah.
Right. To make it after the Enlightenment, to create your own purpose for yourself. And it's very reasonable to say someone who's maybe not fully there mentally can assign themselves something very ambitious that they consider ambitious.
Yeah.
But it's
Benjamin Netanyahu.
Someone is inspired by Hitler. Or someone.
And the cultural point is very powerful because, especially in Pakistan, if you look at it, there's definitely, you can't deny this. There is that cultural influence, and that cultural problem becomes the existential problem, because once they culturally adopt some of these ideas, they may not call them philosophical, because they take you on a popular level, right? Oh yeah, I'm an atheist, yar, or I'm a liberal, yar, or I'm secular. They say that they act it, they enjoy it probably, right? They have fun with it on university campuses, but eventually, whatever you repeat becomes what's embedded in your mind. And they eventually do stop believing in God. And when they do that, then eventually they do run into the problem of, I don't know what I'm doing here. Who am I? If there's no God and everything is an accident and I'm an accident, and therefore my life doesn't mean anything. And therefore, why don't, I do what some of these existential philosophers did, commit suicide or, consider that. So it could really be a problem. But going back to your point, absolutely, someone now with that moral freedom, right? Again, no God, no objective morality, it's all subjective. Considering that framework and considering the fact that now you are in charge, you're in the driving seat, you're playing God, you're going to create your own purpose. Someone with the right or wrong mindset can easily run away with this, and we do see examples of this every now and then. Some crazy man that's made it a life goal to go kill some children in some school, and they think what they're doing is good.
I mean, are we conflating purpose with meaning here? So purpose, as far as I understand, what you mentioned about nihilism, it's meaninglessness.
Yeah.
Is that the same as that? Could you?
Yeah. Is it the same as having a purpose?
No purpose.
Yeah. So no. So you can the way they normally differentiate is the meaning of life and the meaning in life.
Okay.
Right. So the meaning in life is what most people, academics, want to touch and discuss. Because that's the easy one. What's the meaning in my life? Okay, I can think about that.
Right.
I can come up with that. I can give myself something, a good purpose. And again, how do they define good without God? Yeah. That's another problem.
Right.
But they can do that. But the meaning of life, why do I exist in the first place? That's the problematic one. that they can't address. You can call it purpose. Sometimes they use these terms interchangeably. What's the purpose of your life? What's the meaning of your life?
Okay, and right now, what we have discussed right now is कि हमारी society में meaninglessness mainly आ रहा है because of the cultural invasion, right? Which is coming from the West, right? And the channels could be Netflix, it could be TV serials, it could be novels, right? The books that we are studying. And then हमारी society में एक और भी चीज़ आ रही है that we have to maximize pleasure. Right, let it be lust, vulgarity, pornography, objectification of women, whatever it might be, to a level that people go drug addicts, they start drinking, stuff like that, which is again a very interesting concept. कि ये जो पूरी तरीके आ रहे हैं, whatever is coming from the Western society, originally in the youth of Pakistan, how do we address this issue? So we all know that there's an issue, right? But what's the solution? No one wants to talk about it.
Well, maybe a solution is bringing back meaning.
Yeah,
right.
So are they both connected to one another?
It's also intimately linked with addiction as well.
Yeah.
Because what's the difference between somebody's grandmother who has morphine for a hip replacement and a junkie who's just completely, addicted to morphine or heroin or some kind of opiates in a debilitating way? This is what we know a lot more about addiction, the science behind addiction, compared to when many drug laws and many societies form and outlawed these substances. It's not the fact that simply taking a substance makes you addicted for life. It's actually, just to a long story short, it's having nothing to do in the morning. When you wake up, you have no purpose. You've got nowhere to go. You feel that there's no reason to get out of bed. That's when that, taking those substances that have the ability to be addictive, that's when they really take over someone's life and lead them down to, like you said, drug addicts and so forth. So,
Imran, if someone in our viewers are watching this show, this podcast of ours, and उसको ये लगता है कि यार, this is something, I'm suffering from this disease of nihilism, right? I don't find any meaning. What is the practical tip that you would want to share with that particular person? What is the roadmap for him to get out of this disease?
So the first thing is to realize a fundamental point, which is, without Allah, you are never going to find true meaning, your ultimate meaning.
Okay.
The best you can do is make things up.
Yeah.
Go with something you believe is good, and that may satisfy you. Right? You may do some good in the world. People may benefit, but eventually you're going to get to the point you're going to question yourself again as, why am I doing this? What's the motivation? Like Dr. Salman was saying, what drives me? Because remember, it's always easier for the human to do what's bad than what's good.
Yeah.
Because good things are difficult to do in most cases, right? Now, if you give yourself a good goal, a good purpose without God, you're going to burn out eventually, because there's nothing underpinning that drive. There's no ought that presses down on the person. There's no higher objective.
Yeah.
It's just they're doing it because they'll give it for themselves. So, that's one problem. What was your question again, bro? Sorry.
So my question was that
how do they get out of nihilism?
How do you get out of it?
Yeah. So first thing is realize that without Allah, it's impossible to get out.
Allah says in the Quran, وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُم. Don't be like those who forgot Allah, so Allah made them forget themselves.
That's such a powerful
and to know Allah, you need to understand who Allah is, right? Have the knowledge about Allah Himself as well.
Yeah, and know Allah. Again, see, if you look at the concept of knowledge today from a secular perspective, it's almost, knowledge is seen as information.
Right.
It's like you read certain things, you learn, you internalize information, right? It's just content. But it's like you know of someone and you know someone, right? So when we say know Allah, it's important for people to realize there's two parts to this, right? One is, yes, learn about Allah, learn Aqidah, read the Quran, see what Allah tells us about Himself. The second part is get to know Allah. So build that relationship with Allah,
Right.
Because if that's missing, that knowledge is only going to get you so far if you don't implement it, right? So for example, someone that, learns, say, Aqidah and studies it and knows Allah's names and attributes and just learns it just as information in their mind. If you, down the line, say they go through a trial or tribulation in their life, a hardship. Yeah, if they haven't built a relationship with Allah, they're not going to be grounded.
Yeah.
You know, so you need to build that relationship upon that knowledge. So you have to get to know Allah. I think that's key.
Yeah.
And then obviously build in those key core practices that we've been taught. You know, the salah being one of the fundamental things.
Yeah.
But again, understand what the salah is. You know, it's not just a set of movements and a set of things you recite. Though those are the pillars. Yeah, do those things. But the deeper meaning, the deeper sort of thing we need to get as well is that connection with Allah. Realize you're standing in front of Allah.
Yeah.
You're speaking to Allah. You know, Allah is telling you things when you read the Quran in the salah. And have that khushu in the salah, which is missing in most cases.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you're going to build that relationship with Allah.
I think it's also very important to find the right company, you know, because people external to you, you are being programmed all the time. So जो आपके इर्द गिर्द के लोग होते हैं, what kind of people are they, and they are going to have the most influence on you. So finding the right company and the good company is also very important. And if we discuss about someone or a teenager like me playing a devil's role, that Imran, what's wrong with me maximizing my player? Why don't you want me to maximize my player? How are you going to address that?
We do want you to maximize the pleasure.
Yeah, we're telling you there's a way to do that.
Including in the hereafter.
What's wrong for me to minimize my pain?
Yeah.
What's wrong? What's wrong with that?
We need to get into people's minds that following the Sharia, following Islam, following divine guidance is the path to maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain.
But it's maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain within a framework.
Yeah. Even in this dunya, what the usuli, they say one of the ways of looking at what is haram is that there's more mafsada, there's more harm than benefit in it.
Yes.
And one of the ways of looking at something which is obligatory is there's more benefit than there is harm. That both paths are difficult.
Yeah.
Okay? Both paths, Allah said, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْن. We guided man with respect to two paths. We need to get this in people's heads. Whatever path you take, there's difficulty. Life is toil.
Yeah.
This life is going to have difficulty. The wrong path might be shallow to begin with, but it gets really steep later on. But the right path, it might be a bit steep earlier on, but it leads to ease. It leads to more ease. It's like a person, you know, going through hardship in a gym or something, training a muscle.
Yeah.
That person, you might say, well, what do you think? What, you know, how is that gonna? What's the point of that? But what's the point of that? What's the point of that? Why don't you just, relax? Do you think that person will have an easier time carrying a load or a more difficult time?
Yeah.
So Allah wants ease for us. Allah doesn't want difficulty and hardship. So that's why someone might say, but what? It's hard. It's difficult waking up for Fajr in the morning.
Right.
But that conditioning yourself to deal with that difficulty leads to ease. Yeah. We need to get this in people's heads as well.
Like they say, the pain of discipline is better than the pain of regret.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
even if, sorry to interrupt, even if you just look at the pleasure and the pain in the micro instant, okay, these things are subjective. Okay. A friend of mine, he said, one of the things that Allah guided him to Islam, and one of the things that he had a difficulty doing initially was giving up, smoking cannabis and stuff. He said the thing that clicked in my head was I realized I felt the same amount of happiness as I would from smoking a joint when I would take my little sister to the park to play. Yeah, just getting that in your head, because these dopamine levels, oxytocin or whatever, these levels do go up when you do other things that are more wholesome and that give you that subjective dopamine experience, that subjective reward. So even in the micro level, even in the instant, you can actually enjoy. Okay,
basically enjoying all the halal avenues of life. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Okay, and one of the hadiths that comes in my mind is that this world is a prison for a believer and a paradise for a non-Muslim, right? So if you let go, if you consider that the only purpose of my life, मेरी जिंदगी का पूरा जो मकसद है वो बस यही है कि I have to maximize my pleasure, then it could be also at someone's cost. Someone might feel pleased raping someone, right? This could be also detrimental to the society as a whole that we exist. What are your last 2 cents for the youth of Pakistan?
just firstly to realize that you have the truth,
Yeah.
that you have the final revelation, you have the words of Allah that are preserved. We don't have the same problems as the Christians did.
Yeah.
The theology evolved significantly over the years. Even the concept of God changed, to the point where it was irrational. Just didn't make sense to the fitrah or the intellect. We have everything preserved, and Islam is in line with the fitrah, the natural state of man. And like Dr. said, that sometimes you have to do things that are difficult.
Yes.
Yeah. And
In order to make your life easy.
exactly.
Right.
But the thing is, most people today, the youth today, they like things easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for the men especially, the guys, this is a big problem, because the man's psychology, if you really look at it, men have to struggle if they really want to find satisfaction.
Yes.
What you see is when they really put in the work and do something challenging and difficult, but what's meaningful at the same time.
True.
That's when they get the maximum level of joy and pleasure.
Yeah.
Right? But the way we're conditioned today is don't do what's difficult, don't do what's challenging, do what's easy. That's why a lot of youth are just playing video games, taking drugs, watching porn, and repeating that, rinse and repeat, basically.
Right.
They don't even want to work these days. If they can avoid it, they'll avoid it.
That's why charlatans like Jordan Peterson are becoming, modern day
Exactly.
icons.
He put his finger on the pulse, right? He was clever from one perspective, because he saw the problem. But the thing is, Islam, it gives you a system which is based on the truth.
Yeah.
So you're not guessing anymore. It's from Allah, the one that knows all. It's not from another human being, Peterson or Nietzsche, whoever,
Right.
who's fallible. This is from the creator of the heavens and the earth that wants best for you and knows best what's best for you. He's the all-knowing. So yes, it's going to be difficult. Yes, something's going to be challenging. Yes, giving up on some of your desires slowly over time. You're not supposed to overnight. No one's expecting that from you. No one's perfect. It's going to be difficult. But realize that going through that hardship is what's going to make your life meaningful and give your life purpose as well, in a way. Yeah. So engage in that struggle, if you want a fulfilling life. Otherwise, you keep doing the same old stuff that's easy, but it's like stale water.
Yeah.
It becomes putrid, so, and you will suffer because of that. You will suffer, you will see in your own life. So have the courage to make the decision and say, you know what, I've been doing X, Y, and Z. I've been turning away from Islam. I haven't been reading the Quran. I've turned away from Allah. Recognize the problem first. Yeah. And then have the courage to do something about it. Right? I'm not going to say the word, but have in you to do something about it. Yeah. Testosterone levels have been dropping as well. If you look at the levels of testosterone today, the studies that are showing, men's testosterone levels in the age 20 and 30s compared to even 10 years ago, they have declined. Yeah. Right. And the interesting thing about testosterone is a dual type of relationship. So your activity also dictates how your levels are. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not just one way that your levels are low, so therefore you're not very active.
You are sounding the Muslim android.
No, I'm just, but these are things
these are the realities of life.
So people need to fix up. Yeah. You need to fix up.
J-E-E.
Okay.
Top G.
Who's that?
Okay. Okay. So
Top high G.
Salman bhai, you being the most eldest of all three of us, and you being the father.
Lagta to nahi, lekin
father he looks like the youngest, mashallah.
You being like the father, what would you advise to the parents? In particularly जो पाकिस्तानी society है, उसमें अपने बच्चों को किस तरह manage करें when they have so much cultural invasion coming in?
Have some self-esteem. Be proud of what you have. This country was built upon an idea, not upon a race or an ethnicity. It's Pakistan ka matlab kya? La ilaha illallah. Yeah, it's built upon an idea, and teach your children to have the fortitude to think critically. It's not someone who is confident in their skin, has good self-esteem, and who is critically thinking to just imitate another people, right? Imitate another so-called civilization, let alone Western culture, right? If anyone wants to see the fruits of nihilism, the fruits of the popular culture in the West, don't look on TV. Don't look at the highlight reels. Highlights reel that they're showing you. Come and visit, and come to Leicester Square on a Friday night. Come to an A&E department in the emergency department in hospitals, come to a police station,
Yeah.
see the tamasha, with your own eyes, see the amount of number of children in poverty in one of the richest countries in the world, see the number of children in the care system, see the pointless amounts of violence.
And
and
I've heard a lot that what happens near the bar when the kind of people that are sleeping around or in a very disgusting way. मेरा ख्याल है, I would like to sum up with someone very close to me used to say कि for Pakistanis being progressive means कि कपड़े उतार दो और music लगा लो, right? On the other hand, what we really need to think about is कि हमारा infrastructure कितना अच्छा हो रहा है, हमारी education कितनी अच्छी हो रही है, health कितनी अच्छी हो रही है. So a lot of us are in this delusion कि अगर हम कपड़े छोटे से छोटे पहन लेंगे, music लगा लेंगे गाड़ी में, थोड़ी सी drag race कर लेंगे, तो that's being progressive. Jazakallah khair for your time. Thank you, Imran, for being over here. And if you have to learn more about nihilism and other stuff, do watch Sapience Institute. Please tell audience something about Sapience.
mashallah, Sapience Institute, one of the main objectives is to help develop leaders who are defending Islam intellectually. And there's a lot of amazing courses online on the Sapience Institute website, done by various different Sheikh Fahad's done many. We had external speakers that have come and done many courses, mashallah. So definitely check the website out. And it's really to help shape that Muslim mind basically in today and give them the confidence like Dr. Salman was talking about, have pride, in what Allah has given you. Don't just throw that away and run after the nonsense that's going on in the West at the moment, just check that out, inshallah. So there's a lot of good work coming out, inshallah. SapienceInstitute.org is the site, inshallah.
I remember a parable that one of the mashayikh gave, Sheikh Abdullah Shanqiti, when he came to the UK. He said, the Muslim Ummah is like a lion who the West has told it's a goat because it's got a bit of a beard. So it's thinking of itself as a goat. And the Western world, Western nations are a goat that's telling everyone it's a lion. We need the lion to wake up to being knowing it's a lion and taking its place as leading people. Kuntum khayra ummatin ukhrijat lin-nas. Allah sent this ummah to lead mankind, to be in the service of mankind, to do the job of the prophets and the messengers. So this is a duty we all have. So we need to wake up this ummah, not going around thinking it's a billy goat, but realizing it's a lion and wake up this lion to lead once again, inshallah.
And if you want to wake up as a lion, you need to visit Islam 21C, right?
And Sapience.
And Sapience. And tell me a little more about Islam 21C.
Islam 21C, our vision is to see every Muslim confident and impacting the world. And the way we do it is through transformation of digital content. Similar to this.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.